Where we left off, in the Hospital of the Clinging, Jylliana has fallen asleep after a very rough day of changes. Arturos tried to explore the hospital, but also passed out. And Wynne ventured forth
not in the hospital halls.
I think he passed out didn't we say he passed out 3 meters from the dorm?
He fell about 3 meters from the dorm.
Yeah, about 10 feet.
He did get dragged in there eventually.
Yeah, I think he just went back to sleep after some pouting.
Yeah, and then Wynne ventured forth in a fancy coach to the outer grounds of a palace near the city's edge, where she could see Lawnmower and all your recovered belongings, but she also passed out on the way home and is now asleep. In the evening, you all barely wake up enough to take your dinner. It's just soup, but it's, good quality, tasty and filling, and it just makes you all even more sleepy. There's just enough time for Wynne to fill everybody in on what she saw before you all pass out early.
Now, when you say pass out, just because we're all sick, are we going to sleep or are we almost forcibly losing unconscious passing out?
Whichever you think is funnier, to be honest.
I'd rather we just went to sleep, because otherwise that's some drug soup.
No. It's warm food passing out. It's not like you are being put to sleep passing out.
Okay.
It was not my intention to be yeah, they're drugging you now.
They're keeping you compliant.
So we're going to sleep.
Yes, for the
night.
We're
just tired.
You're just tired. This is nighttime tiredness sleep. As far as you're aware, there are no drugs in the soup. In the morning, you will all wake up with 0 levels of exhaustion, except for Wynne, who has a thing, and she needs to actually get some sleep, which is, again, so rare for an elf, but here we are. There's still some tiredness, because you're still recovering, but it'll have no mechanical effect. So, Arturos, you feel refreshed and fantastic. This is a great morning. Now, Jylliana, your lingering injuries are feeling pretty shit. Your skin is covered in bruises ranging from black to green to blue. You have a killer headache still, and every time you move, sharp pains rock through your insides.
Yeah, okay.
How do you two go about your mornings?
Slowly.
Artie wakes up and stretches, does a big old, almost cat-like, just He's hale and hearty and looking for food.
Well, great timing, because you've woken just as the nurses are bringing breakfast, which is, again, soup or stew or some kind of spoon-fed
porridge,
bowl
probably
food.
at this hour.
Oh, that's a good idea. Porridge, yeah. Now, a little reminder. You've all been told that you may only leave the hospital under guard. However, you do have 2 guards to escort you around, Herenia and Macrinia, and those are the ones that Wynne met yesterday.
How's my mobility right now? Do I still need to use, crutches, or have I had enough sleep and levels of exhaustion removed that I can, get by on, a cane or something?
You can walk now. Mechanically speaking, you're not slowed in any way.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, the players are actually looking at an image from the back page of Under the Dark Fist, the Spelljammer 2e module. It's a image of the Imperial
and that's
City.
The one that actually, that's the one that was actually about, the Vidoni. They were something that were just from the Under the Dark Fist module, right?
Yeah. It was set about 500 years before the time of Jemjammer, more or less.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right, yeah.
Yeah, and it really does look like a spider web. In the center, I didn't point this out before because the party was flying in pretty low, but in the center, the Imperial Palace is actually a construction of crystal, straight up crystal, and it's really, really tall. It's
Dang.
At least a mile high. This is kind of insane. There's no way this could have been made without magical assistance. And our players will notice that they are in the east by northeast quadrant of the map, in the region of the town assigned to House Vidoni.
Yeah, we're looking at 24 wedges around a wheel, so imagine doubling a clock, essentially.
Indeed.
So we're about 3 o'clock.
By the way, I measured the size of this map, according to the scale marker. The city is 37 miles in diameter.
That's big, and it's very tall.
That is also 60 kilometers. This is a enormous city because, like, you have municipalities that are, like, around that size. It's not too big for, like, a greater region. But for an actual city, when you came in, you noticed that, like, a very significant distance around was farmland and agricultural, and you realize that's the only way they could possibly hope to support a city of this size.
Mm-hmm. But right now we're just in a little hospital.
You are.
Well, not a little hospital.
It's a pretty big hospital.
All right, well, Jill is going to ask one of the nurses if essentially if the prince is awake at this point.
If you do that, the nurse will bow and walk out of the room backwards and come back in about 10 minutes and say, yes, His Highness is awake. Would you like me to take you to him?
Yeah, that would be super, thanks.
Of course, my lady.
Oh, me too. Is he still drugged?
She doesn't answer, probably because she doesn't know, and she leads you out, Jylliana. Arturos, do you follow as well?
Of course.
All right.
No.
Oh.
What? Why not?
Because I'm going to be busy doing actual things and you're just going to get in his lap again.
But he's so high.
Yeah, I know, but I need to actually, like, fix him.
I thought we all agreed he was better on the drugs.
I don't recall agreeing that. I recall you crying.
Okay.
Alright, so Jylliana, you're led again through this maze of hallways to the very, very fancy chamber in the hospital that contains Max. You enter the room, and there is Max sitting up in bed. A servant is spoon-feeding him some porridge. You notice that Sybil is in the corner of this, like, fancy medical bedroom. She's also feeding herself. Or rather, she is feeding herself. And as you come in, Max looks up, nearly chokes on his food. The nurse pats him on the back and he, like, coughs a bit and swallows it. And he says, "Hey, Jill."
Oh boy. Oh, hi. Good morning.
And he leans in close to the nurse who's feeding him and conspiratorially says, "That's my wife."
Jylliana looks over at Sybil.
Sybil nods her head respectfully.
Jylliana gives a sup nod.
Max, like, takes the bowl from the nurse and says, "Go on, I got this." And she, like, reluctantly hands it over and backs off. And he tries to eat while talking. He says, Hey, how you going? What's going on? I missed you."
I don't think you did. Just keep eating the porridge.
Okay. Nom 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 nom.
She will catch the nurse's attention, be like, "Hey, where's his chart? Can I see his chart?"
She goes, "His chart, my lady?"
Yeah, whatever you're using to write down, like, treatments that you're doing on him in between, so you can swap between, like, people on duty and, like, still keep a consistent schedule, so you're sharing information on a patient chart.
She looks confounded, as if she has no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, you're not on duty for 24 hours or however long a day is here, so how do you give information to the next person on staff for what you did during your shift?
My lady, she looks almost afraid, like you're judging her for something. No, I don't know what you're talking about. We just tend to His Highness.
Okay. What are you presently doing to tend to His Highness? I'm not I'm just trying to get caught up, like, up to speed here. What's his current treatment?
Bathe him, wait for the doctor to come in and cast a healing spell, and then medicate him, and that's it.
Okay. What were his injuries when you entered? What are you actually, like, treating specifically on him? Are there any wounds that you've set? Is there anything that you're minding infection on?
Jill, could you make a medicine check for me, please?
Okay. That's a 25.
Okay. And that's not even a nat 20. Jesus Christ, that's a 16 on the die.
I get a +9 to medicine checks.
I've got a +9 to ogre slaying. So you realize that this servant has had next to no medical training whatsoever. She has basically the skills of a nursemaid who is not to be scoffed at, great for wrangling children, but doesn't understand medical record keeping.
Okay.
Any kind of knowledge she has is purely verbal.
Okay. Who's the physician on staff who is assigned to treating His Highness?
That would be Priest Varas.
Okay. When you are finished up here, could you please go ask for him and tell him I'd like to speak to him in the prince's room?
She bows low and says, "Yes, my lady," and looks at Max, who has gotten food all over his face.
I'll worry about that one.
She bows low again and leaves the room.
Goddess. Okay. Oh, they're stretched really thin. Okay. All right. She will walk over to Max. Oh, boy. You look like a baby that just threw up on itself.
Max giggles at that. Like, doesn't laugh. Giggles. Like a child.
Oh, you are really, really high today, aren't you? What, they get you started early?
He just tries to stuff more food into his face.
Oh, okay. You need to give that to me.
But I don't wanna.
You are really... Okay, do you want it actually in your mouth, or do you want it all over your shirt? Because right now you're getting it all over your shirt.
Fine. And he grumpily thrusts it at you, the bowl and the spoon.
I don't suppose you'd be able to tell me, like, where you're actually injured, would you?
Oh, yeah, check it out. He rips back his cover, and Jill, you're met with a pretty horrifying sight. His right leg is mangled, is a nice word for it. It is wrapped in bandages, and you can see some splints attached to it, but this, like, even through the bandages, which have just been changed, you can see fresh blood starting to seep through.
Oh, fuck me.
His leg is twisted at a weird angle.
Okay.
You can also see, like, through, just under his shirt, there is more bandages sticking out. If you lift his shirt, you estimate you'll find something else there too.
Oh, yeah. No, she's just in full medic mode right now. You
do so, and there are more bandages. These ones haven't been changed yet. They've got a line across his abdomen in like a diagonal above his navel, where you can see, again, this dark, dried old blood seeping through, and then bumps of, like, crude stitches.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I got in a fight.
With the ground?
With the people who tried to take you.
You what? Really? You were conscious for that part?
He shrugs and says, I don't know, I thought I was pretty conscious.
Okay. Looking over his body. Okay. She's going to hastily just pull a big spoonful of porridge, open up, shoves it into his mouth, puts the bowl out of reach, and is going to essentially start taking a look at the leg, seeing if she can set that properly. Probably is going to, I assume there's going to be a pitcher of water nearby and like a cloth. She'll grab that and see what she can do about like cleaning any of like the fresh blood that's going on there.
Yeah, sure. Give me a medicine check, please.
Okay. That one's a 17.
You determine that he has basically got a destroyed leg. You don't know how he lugged himself around fighting. Maybe it was adrenaline, maybe it was infection that came along later that fucked it up. But his leg will either need to be majorly healed with magic, or will need replacement with a prosthetic. His leg is absolutely wrecked. Also, he has some pretty major internal injuries as well.
Basically, what Jill's going to do is she's going to essentially, like, go through the injuries that he's got, make sure they're all basically set in place where they need to be, because she is going to do a heal casting on him, but she needs everything in place to where it won't heal wrong first.
Yeah, for sure. With a 17 and also your prior 25, goddamn, you manage that with no dramas. And he winces a bit from the pain, but not a whole lot. He's not very responsive. He must have been dosed, like, not long ago at all.
Goddess.
So you remove the bandages, and I would say you could even possibly... I don't know if you'd actually remove the stitches or if you just, like, make sure they're in a good position.
I think doing fresh stitches might not be, like, a good use of time right now for her.
Yeah. And the leg can be set. It's mostly muscle damage at this point. The bone itself seems to be fine.
Okay.
So that shouldn't be too much of a drama. It maybe, like, the fact that there's a split means maybe the knee was dislocated at some point, but overall, it looks like a heal spell would fix it.
All right, she is going to look at Max, say, like, I need you to be really still right now, okay?
He freezes, he puts his arms by his side, and raises one hand in a salute, and you realize he's trying to, like, stand to attention while lying in bed.
Just put your hands down, okay?
Sorry, and puts his hand down, and, like, holds so still, he's almost shivering.
I imagine heal has a more complex sort of somatic setup to it.
If you want it to, yeah.
Yeah, well, I just mean, like, it's a 6-level spell, so it's probably not just, like, a flick of the wrist or anything.
Sure.
So she probably needs both hands for it, goes through the incantation, and casts on him. And
sure.
That's a heal on Max here.
Okay, so casting 6th level magic is always a trip. You've started to get used to it, Jill, but it still feels weird to you just how much power is flowing through you right now. You can feel this energy rippling through the world, almost setting your teeth on edge as the universe reshapes itself to your will. There is, like, a popping inside Max's body as certain things click back into shape. There is some squelching as stitches are forced out of his body, and there's this general just weird shifting that feels like it shouldn't be okay, but is. And under your hands, Max's body heals itself, and the fleshy bits of his leg seem to even out. The discoloration on his skin clears up. Even some of the hairs on his legs that was wounded sprout back, and his abdomen now has a fine, clean line across it. Just a faint scar of what was once a life-threatening injury. And he looks at you, and still doped to hell, says, "Oh, you're so cool."
Jylliana will sit back into like a chair or whatever. Or actually, is there a chair, or would she just, like, sit against the side of the bed?
You can take the chair that the nurse was feeding him from, or you can sit on the bed with him.
I think sit on the bed, because it's a big fucking bed. No way he's way over on the side.
Yeah.
She sits down with a hard woof, then reaches for the porridge bowl, gestures for the spoon, takes another one, and just, like, panting, she's like, okay, your metabolism's really gonna need... You just burned a lot of energy. You need to keep eating.
He meekly takes the bowl and eats from it.
Fuck me.
Also, a little realization, Jill. Because heal has no properties that cure poisons or toxins, you did not burn the drugs, the painkillers out of his system. He will stay doped until that fades off on its own, unless you use a protection from poison spell.
So he's probably just feeling great right now, then.
Probably feels very sleepy, to be honest.
Okay. How are you doing?
He looks up at you. He says, "I feel great. My wife is here."
Okay. Wow. So this is you just drugged up, huh?
Max says, I'm not drugged, I'm just... And seems to lose what he's trying to say.
Just what?
Hungry. And takes a bite.
There you go. Man, you are really going to regret a lot of things you said when you come down for that high.
He nods and says, that's because I am a very clever wolf man.
That's going to be one of them. Oh, really curious to see how much you're going to remember.
It's a great question, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Okay. Fuck. Sybil, how are you holding up?
Sybil is just scraping the last of the porridge out of her bowl, and she says, my lady, I seem to be well. My injuries were fairly minor.
Okay, great. Good, because I only got one of those in me per 8 hours.
She nods and says, it is good of you to heal your husband first.
First, yeah.
But when will you look after yourself, my lady?
Oh, I don't know, I'm fine.
She glances down to the parts of your arms where bruising is showing under your hospital robe. A little reminder, you're wearing the brown robes with the white tabard and the little... And you actually have your golden sash on.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have your sleeves rolled up from dealing with Max, and your arms are bruised to hell. And she just inclines her head at that and says, I am sure you know best about your own condition.
Oh, you haven't talked to my friends.
As you say, my lady.
Okay, well, in that case, she'll probably just hang out with Max until until basically Varas is able to make it so she can talk with him, so we can call this a scene break here.
Yeah, so Arturos, in this time, what are you doing?
Since Artie definitely feels a lot better, he's going to ask, like, one of the guards, so is there a park or some sort of garden or something that I could go to?
So the guards there, the one on duty right now is Macrinia.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who's about 6'4". He's got a heavily embroidered sash around his waist.
No, it's a heavily embroidered stash now.
He's got very, very fancy facial hair.
He's got fine facial hair. And he's standing at the door and says, my lord, yes, I can take you outside to the garden if you would like.
Ugh, my lord. No, you call me Arturos. No, I mean, shit. What was it? You called me Arti. Fuck it. Let's go.
Very well, my lord. And he turns around.
No, lord.
And starts to walk out through the maze of corridors.
Like, Artie is following him. Like, you better not call me that shit outside.
After about 5 minutes, you make it through this maze of hallways. Do you attempt to remember the way, or do you just go with him?
Knowing Artie, yeah, he'll attempt to remember.
Okay, give me an intelligence check.
That is a 20.
Oh, wow!
Dirty 20.
Very nice. So the DC was at like a 7. So you not only...
I not only memorize the way, I memorize the whole building. Now we've gone into the vents.
I wouldn't say the whole building, but you reckon you could navigate pretty easily around here from now on, not just because of the way you took, but because you memorize with the signs and the things they more or less point to. So, for instance, you could find your way to Max's chambers on your own if you wished. But yes, you come out into a fairly nice garden. Outside, you can hear the sound of a city. There's talking, there's machinery, there's carts, but it's all dampened by the building with fairly thick walls around you. This garden has grass, it has plants, it even has a little fountain. There's some benches to sit on. It's a really pleasant place. The sun is just shining in over the tops of the walls, and soon it'll land right on one of the garden benches.
Nice. How's the air quality?
I mean, it's not spectacular.
Artie definitely will do a bit of a quick stretch, then take off his shirt and just start jogging.
Yeah, sure. It's not a very particularly big place, but, you know, there's like a path around the outside of the garden that you reckon you could jog on. And are you just doing that to, like, freshen up, feel better?
Just to wake up, to wait out Jill and Win.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, because there's not really anything he can do in the building until they get out. I was gonna say escape. Escape.
That's funny. It's felt exactly like the word escape.
So yeah, that's all he has.
All right. When you have been enjoying these rare occasions where you can get this strange thing called sleep, I'd love to hear how you spend your morning.
Wynn just starts her morning by luxuriating in bed and eating her porridge. And then she turns to Bondar and she goes, "Where did you agree to drop off the supplies from from Red?"
Bondar thinks for a moment and says, "We needed to go to the Golot Wedge." It was somewhere on 3rd Avenue near Golot Street. There's a warehouse there.
She nods her head. Did they give us any indication of what the warehouse would look like or anything like that?
Yeah, it's the only one that's bright purple.
Oh, that is easy to see.
Yes, you should be able to find someone who can point you the way once we get there.
I'm going to still call you Captain until your retirement party.
Bondar shrugs and says, "If you insist."
It's too ingrained not to, she says. And then she's going to get up and stretch for a moment. She's now down to, I think, fatigue 1, that's right?
No, you're out of fatigue now.
I'm out of fatigue! I feel great! Oh my god!
You do. You wake up and stretch
like
and you
Grandpa
feel...
Joe!
I can walk and dance again! Let's go to a chocolate factory, kid!
Oh golly gee whiz, Grandpa Wynn!
Let's go straight to hell!
Wynn does a little dance and then she heads out to look for those guards again.
So the male guard that you met on the way there, the one who drove the coach, doesn't seem to be there. So that's Macunia. But the female guard, Herenia, is nearby.
Herenia, good morning!
Ah, my lady, good morning. How are you feeling this fine day?
Feeling far better than yesterday, that's for certain. And I now know where those items need to go, if I can arrange to have them moved.
She nods her head and says, "Of course, my lady. Will you be handling that personally, or shall I send a missive?"
I'll handle it personally, but would I be able to get a carriage or something to help move it?
As long as I'm supervising you, yes. But we should probably bring along some footmen to actually carry the load. I'm not sure you want to be carrying that all by yourself.
I have no arm strength.
I will summon up some strong young men, and we'll get this sorted.
Driving young boys!
I wish I could say that I would enjoy some strong young men, but alas, I would prefer strong young women. Let's go. I'll wait on you, rather.
Can you make me an insight check real quick?
Sure. No, I can't.
What did you roll, Mackenzie?
I got a 7. For the audience. I got a 7 audience, which is, for the dice, I got a 3 on the die.
You feel like she is strangely pleased when you say that. You feel like maybe she's giving you some looks. And with only a 3 on the die, in fact, I think you're pretty convinced she's looking at you a certain way when you say that you prefer women.
Wynn is not as outgoing as Cacophony at this, so she's kind of like, am I intrigued? I don't know if I am or not. I want to see how I feel about her in a few hours and see if I want to explore this. But that said, she waits for the strapping young boys to travel with them.
I should point out, I did not intend Herenia Luperca to have a similar name to the planet, Harena, because they're spelled very, very differently. It's quite different. However, it's only like when you mispronounced it just then, I realized, oh shit, it sounds like the planet Harena. Oh, Toolbox is scratching at my door.
Hello, Toolbox.
Hey, Toolbox. You want to come in? You want to come in, baby?
Actually, can Toolbox have like shown back up while like in the middle, like overnight we have woken up and then Toolbox is just like asleep on Kara's chest.
I thought he's been there.
Looks like he's been there the whole time.
When some strong young men and even some strong young women show up, and you pile up into the coach while the others pile into a cart, a horse-drawn cart. You start heading from the hospital to the palace you saw up to the northeast.
Is the cart also young and strong?
The cart looks quite old and rickety. But nonetheless, while it's a bit wobbly, it looks sturdy enough. Looks like it's not going to fall apart, even if it rattles.
Okay.
After about 10 minutes, you make it back to the vault, and your big crates, the size and almost shape of coffins, are loaded into the vehicle.
Gwen, with her piddly strength 8 arms, does not help.
That's like an all-day trip.
That is basically an all-day trip. When you start this trip, you are shown to you're shown a city map by the guard who is leading you, by Herenia, and you get a look at the Imperial City. The diameter of the city is 37 miles. For, comparison, the cart can go about 5 miles an hour.
Gwen stares at the map for a moment and then says, I think I need to find my friends and let them know what I'm doing.
Herenia says, yes, we'll pass by the hospital on the way back, so you can stop and do that.
She nods her head.
After, about half an hour after you left, you arrive back at the palace. Sorry, at the hospital. Let's jump back around to Jylliana. As you're sitting with your dirtbag husband...
She's been making idle conversation with him, mostly probably just whatever fucking babble he's got going off the top of his head, and she's been, nodding like she's been talking to a 6-year-old who's telling a particularly just rambling story. And then what happened? Yeah.
I think he told you a story about something that happened back in Providence Bay, but you honestly can't follow it because he jumps topics and characters and settings so frequently that it might as well be just utter nonsense.
I also think it needs to be clear that anytime that he says anything even remotely complimentary about her, she just shrugs it off because she is pretty sure that is entirely due to him being stoned as hell.
So, after a little while, there's a knock on the door. And it opens a crack, and an old Vidoni man sticks his head in. This is Varas, the head doctor.
Hey, Varas.
He says, good morning, my lady. You summoned me?
Yeah, I guess. Well, first off, you guys are really understaffed, huh? Wow, no, I'm sorry, that came out wrong. I'm trying not to be a dick. But just bluntly, what's your staffing like? It seems like you have a bit of a shortage, or people are stretched kind of thin?
Yes, most of our doctors and medics are massing at the front lines.
Right. Front lines. Did we hear about the front lines, Anna? Did we hear about front lines?
You knew there was a war.
Right.
That this is escalating into a full-on civil war, but you're not fully filled out on the details yet. Okay,
front lines. Yeah, all right. I'll set that aside for now. Okay, cool. Well, you should probably know, I've done just a full heal on the prince here. You can check my work if you want, but he's basically gonna be good to go, but you're gonna have to start reducing his opium intake because he's not gonna need painkillers that much. But just start weaning him off of that.
His brow furrows and says, a full heal? Like a cure wounds?
She puts her palm as though she is measuring a horizontal line, and then so that's a first level, and then she notches the hand rising as though it has gone up 6 stories. Heal, just the word with the initial H. That's a 6th level.
His eyes widen, and then he scrambles over to Max, and a little bit unceremoniously says, excuse me, sir, and pulls back the blankets. And Max is like, whoa, dude, at least buy me dinner first.
She swats Max's arm.
And he examines Max's now unbandaged leg, his foot leg. So his foot arm, his leg.
His foot leg.
His flag.
His flag. And finds that there's very mild scarring, but nothing major. And checks his abdomen, and Max is like, dude, he's undressing me. Babe, he's undressing me.
He's a doctor, darling.
And again, traces his hand over the scar and examines the little stitches that have popped out and fallen into the sheets. And he says, my lady, I knew you were a priestess of some repute, but I didn't. And he sits back and says, I have never seen magic like this in my life. And he looks kind of boggled.
She nods. Okay. Well, I've only got one of those per 8 hours, but I've got a lot of other spell slots. This morning when I was eating, I was doing some math, going through my spell book, and I've pretty much loaded up on all healing spells. So she cracks her knuckles. I think she kind of rolls her sleeves back up, and then she does the thing where she just kind of... It's that thing where you, like, put a fist in an open palm, like a... I want to know who you've got in the hospital. I want to know what kind of restorations you might need, what kind of illnesses you've got, what can be covered by a heal, what kinds of groupings you can do to catch as many people within a certain radius as possible. I'm just sitting around resting all day, and I don't do well with that, so put me to work.
My lady, this is most irregular. I can't ask you to work here. That's unthinkable.
I'm asking you, Varas. I'm here. I'm not going to be doing anything. Conceivably, if I just nap between now and however long this takes, and then for 8 hours I just nap and lie in bed, I could conceivably do this twice a day. I crunched some numbers, Varas. If we're assuming that most people here aren't like Sybil and have, combat skills and strength, if we're talking about just regular run-of-the-mill folk in the city... With my 1 6-level slot gone, I could heal about 83 people in 1 8-hour period.
So, Jill, right now you have disadvantage on charisma checks.
Mm-hmm.
However, you've also just dazzled him. So I'm going to say, roll me a flat persuasion check, please.
Okay. Persuasion is also something that I get a -1 modifier on. Let's see how this one goes. That's a 3. Can Max help me?
No,
Sorry.
he can't. He's too fucking stoned.
Can Sybil help me?
That helping someone simply provides advantage to them.
Correct.
And it's not a case of advantage to advantage gives 1 versus...
I'm just asking for a second roll.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
However, Vera says, my lady, I would need to ask my superiors before I could authorize such a thing.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
That's fine. I'm here. But I'm a wasted resource right now, and you're stretched thin. If you can get me some information in the next couple of hours on what you've got and how I could help fix it, I'm just going to be sitting there wasting spell slots, wasting magic that could help people.
He nods again, he's got a bit of a 1,000-yard stare right now, and he says, yes, of course, I will immediately go check with my superiors. Please excuse me, my lady, and he practically stumbles out the door.
Thanks.
Max kind of punches the air a bit and says, yeah, you sure showed him.
I don't think I did. Was that weird? Was that too much? I think that may have been too much.
Sybil pipes up and says, might I offer my opinion, my lady?
Absolutely, please. You are the most sane person in this room.
She nods and gives a very professional smile at the compliment and says, I believe he is simply overwhelmed by the strength of power he just witnessed.
I mean, it's not like I've been able to do 6-level spells for very long, but I mean, it just seems dumb to not do something, right?
My lady, I believe that you underestimate your own power. The strongest healer from when I was an adventurer could only cast 3rd-level spells.
3rd level. Again with the 3rd level. Always the 3rd level.
And we considered ourselves mighty.
Okay, well...
You are... She searches for a word. Unusual.
I mean, that's even more reason to just, let me do something, right? I mean, I'm pretty much killing time here until, everybody else is healed up and, he's sober again, and... I mean, maybe Antonia can get me some corpses.
She nods and says, please understand, my lady, the nobility of this city are not accustomed to the idea of performing labor. for any reason.
What? Seriously, what?
She leans back in her bed and says, the Vidoni nobility are what, based on other cultures I've seen in my travels, they might be what you call a luxury class. Work is not something a Vidoni citizen does.
Okay.
Not a noble.
Well...
What you are asking for is unheard of, my lady.
I mean, I'm not exactly a noble myself, so...
My princess, I believe you will find that you are.
Okay, well that's like a technicality.
She nods and says, until His Highness is confirmed in the court of the Wind Reaper, you will probably be able to get away with it a little more easily, because you are still of dubious nobility. Once that's confirmed, you may have a harder time assisting people with such manual tasks.
That is ass backwards. Okay. So that means I gotta get going while getting's good.
She lets out a small smile and says, more or less, ma'am. If asked directly, I will put in a good word for you, of course. You have my support.
Thanks. No, I honestly appreciate it. She looks over at Max. What is Max doing with himself right now?
Sybil does finish, but also please understand, I am not nobility. I am labor class. My word only carries so much weight.
I feel like, she makes air quotes, labor class is probably more my folk anyway.
You are descended from a fisherwoman, yes?
Technically, yeah.
This is going to be a very interesting marriage. I foresee much change.
Oh, sister, you don't know half of it.
She gives a look of, don't I fucking ever, but, just with her eyebrows. What Max is doing, he's leaning back. A look of bliss is over his face. He's kind of tuned out this boring political talk, and now he's just blissed out.
Look, Sybil, I feel like you and me, we've probably got we've probably got a bit of a we're kind of on an even playing field here in terms of goals, I think. 'Cause this gentleman here, I think he needs a lot of help staying alive, and he needs a lot of competent women around to do it.
In my experience, my lady, that seems to be accurate.
Okay, well, yep, alright. Look, I don't know exactly what's gonna go on while this whole thing's happening, but I feel like we're really gonna have to rely on you to keep him alive.
I will do my best to serve, my lady. And she gives you just a small salute. It's not very crisp or formal, it's just like I'm here for you.
Yeah. Well, Ethla herself apparently will thank you for it. Okay, I should probably go see what everybody's doing now that he's taken care of.
I will ensure that His Highness does not choke on what's left of his breakfast.
Wow, that's gonna be a big challenge. He dribbled all over himself. Thank you for your sacrifice.
She tilts her head respectfully and says, have a good day, my lady.
See you around, Sybil. And Jill will flag down a nurse to lead her back to the ward where the crew is.
Do you want to try and memorize the hospital too?
May as well give it an honest effort. Don't think it's gonna work too well.
Yep, alright. Int with disadvantage, please.
Ha! Nat 1! I'm more lost than ever.
What was the other roll? The other roll was only a 9. Okay, Jylliana, you're pretty sure you were just led in 3 circles, and just when you think you're about to walk back into Max's room, you are at the dorms.
I've got just...
It is incredibly disorienting.
I need some paper. I'm gonna start making diagrams for wheelchairs. This is ridiculous. That was a flat hallway.
Some paper is provided to you, as well as a quill and ink.
Dope. Wait, a quill and ink? Jesus Christ, fancies. She would have taken a piece of charcoal.
Now, Rio, Arturos has been exercising around while the guard has been supervising him. What does Arturos do?
I mean, it's a garden, so he's definitely looking around. And how high is he in the city?
So this whole city is pretty. The actual ground itself seemed pretty flat when you came in, but you're about, I'd say, halfway up the towers. So as you look around you, the towers of the city reaching into the sky do reach up high. But there's a pretty, flat level of walkways all around the garden. There's no, holes down into bottomless pits which give you a game over screen. Why do you ask?
Because he's trying to check out any potential escape routes. Just because of how things have been going lately.
Okay. Give me, let's say, an investigation check. Now, are you trying to hide this from the guard?
I mean, he's doing it while jogging, so he's just kind of using his eyes.
Okay. Yeah, give me investigation then.
That's a 17.
With a 17, you notice a point in the garden wall that there's no rampart looking over it, and there's no line of sight between the entrance to the garden. You could probably scramble up that wall. It would be difficult, you'd move at half speed, but this wall that's about 10 feet high, you could probably scramble over it without a huge deal of drama if you had a distraction. You don't know where it would lead, though.
Good to know. Gotta get my boots on. Well, after that, he'll probably do another seductive stretching. Before going inside, following behind the guards, so they lead the way.
Okay, sure. Are you going to try and slip away?
No.
And do you stop by Max's room on the way, or do you go straight to the dorms?
I'm incredibly sweaty. Let's go to Max!
The guard says, "As you wish, my lord." And...
No, this is eso.
And takes you to Max's room, where there is a Max who's kind of half dozing, and a Sybil who's reading a book. And as you go in, Sybil says, my lord Arturos. Sorry, she doesn't say that. But what name did you give her? Archie? Was that the one you gave her specifically?
It was, what was it, Arnie? Archie?
I don't remember which one you gave to Sybil specifically.
The toolbox is out of the bag. It's Artie. Probably Archie.
Okay, Archie. Well, as you walk in, Sybil says, my lord Archie. A pleasure to see you this morning.
No, why are you saying lord too?
Because you're an associate of our princess, my lord.
Okay. He waves and then goes to Max and he takes some sweat off his body and then Simba over Max's forehead.
Really?
That's a dude bro thing to do, yeah.
Okay.
It's better than the other dude bro thing.
Max's eyes open a crack and he says, hey man.
Hello.
What the fuck did you just put on me?
How drugged are you?
Sybil says, my lord has not yet come down from his painkillers.
Okay, it's definitely water.
Max nods and kind of closes his eyes, relieved. What's going on?
Shh. Go back to sleep.
Okay, alright. He kind of rolls over and curls up into a little bundle.
Artie turns to Sybil.
Do you kiss his head?
No, it's got sweat on it now. He pat.
Mm-hmm.
He turns to Sybil. You saw nothing.
Sybil is holding a book, and she says, my lord, this book is so engrossing. There was nothing I could have seen. I was too engaged with my reading.
Yes, good. I'll bring you cheesecake next time. I don't know where I'll find it, but I'll find it.
You are too kind, my lord.
He walks out and goes back to the room.
Okay. Jill and Artie, you arrive almost around the same time, because Artie's navigating the hospital way faster than Jill was.
Oh no, he's letting whoever is guarding him take the lead and trail.
I actually forgot you were under guard. Right, so in that case, Jill would arrive a little before, and would find Wynn there, waiting in the dorm, probably speaking with the crew, perhaps? Wynn?
Yeah, likely. Tell them what's up. Ask them if they've seen either Jill or Artie anytime recently.
Pretty much as you ask that, Jill walks in the door, and then 5 minutes later, Artie will come in. I keep going to say Archie now. God damn it.
Speaking of the angel and the devil.
Okay. Good morning to you, too.
Good morning. I am going to go deliver Red's stuff. Do you want to come with?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, actually. Wait, how long do you think it's gonna take?
Well, that's the problem. That's why I stopped by here. It's across the city. Carriage moves. I don't know. It's probably going to take 4 hours to get there.
It's 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
It's probably 6 hours round trip at minimum.
That's probably okay. That's probably enough time for it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to talk for Ross into letting me just do some blanket heals on some other folks in the hospital. But that's probably enough time for him to hopefully talk his superiors into letting me do it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna start walking through the hallways and just throwing out healing words left and right. I mean, honestly, right?
She nods her head. Honestly, I'll join you when I get back with my healing words and mass healing words.
Oh, that would be great. I can add that to some of the scratch math I was doing. Actually, Jill probably did have some scratch paper journal pages that she had torn out handy to just do some math earlier that she just kind of left on her bed.
I can do, she thinks for a moment, I can do about 3 of the mass healing words, and I should be able to do around 7 of the regular healing words, so I can at least help a little bit.
I really shouldn't be doing addition here. I'm really bad at this.
We have 3 hours for you to do the addition, so want to go ride in a carriage?
Yes.
Artie, you in?
Yes, I do need to bathe, though. Is this a sponge bath situation?
This is a very quick sponge bath situation, yes.
Okay.
I can also press to digitate you after you've done your basic sponge bath to help clean you up.
Yeah, we can stay around while you get that taken care of.
He does a quick scrub-a-dub-dub and joins them.
How is Lachlan awake at this point? Is he still asleep?
Lachlan is awake and eating.
Okay.
He's presumably been filled in about the situation of trying to be subtle because he has not addressed you as his usual affectionate way, Jill.
Oh no.
He seems to be not avoiding your gaze, but it's way, way too reminiscent of when you first got to know him.
Oh, that's terrible. That feels bad. It feels bad.
Doesn't it just? It's pretty terrible, isn't it?
Jill's going to, pull together her scratch paper and, hey, Lachlan?
And he looks up at you. His eyes flicker with something for a second and then fade to very professional. Yes, Jylliana?
Okay. I mean, we are friends. You can just call me Jill. It's fine. Listen, I was working out some math on how to use up my spell slots in the right way to get as many people as possible, and now Wynn's entered the equation, and I don't know how many how that's gonna add, and I'm kind of at my wit's end here. Can you take a look at some of my sums?
Lachlan says, "Of course, I can do that." And he takes the paper from you and looks over them and just holds his head for a moment. He looks like he's trying to think and then mentally staggers a little from the looks of it.
Oh, or never mind. Sorry.
He says, "No, it's okay. Hold on," and he blinks a lot and looks over the figures. He says, counts a little on his fingers. You've never seen him have to count on his fingers before.
Hey.
He says, yeah, this looks more or less right.
His inventory's gotta be I assume we've all got some footlockers with our gear stashed in it or something, right?
Well, he doesn't have his abacus, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, but I mean, he would have had it on him, so I'm asking if that's in our sort of little, if we have footlockers with our inventory in them.
It was lost in the crash.
Oh. Ugh.
But usually he can do maths like this in his head. It's not often that he needs to actually, do figures on his fingers.
Okay.
He basically, what I'm saying is, he still doesn't seem like he's all there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, alright. Thanks. Sorry.
He goes, no, it's okay. It's good to keep busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, well, she'll take the sheets back. Cool. I guess we'll be going, and I'll see you around.
He smiles and gives her just a little twiddly finger wave, like, be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
Jemjammer is performed by Annie Creighton, Anna Emmeline, Rio Rios, and Mackenzie Weaver, and is edited by Jake Mason. Our cover art is by Canary Witch, who can be found at canarywitch.carrd.co, and our character design is by Rio Rios, who can be found at rios.com. Our opening and closing music is by Saad Akhtar Ali. For bonus content, such as Jylliana's private diary, behind-the-scenes homebrew stuff, and other features from our other shows, I Will Fight You and Date Me Dammit, our Patreon has it all from only $1 a month at patreon.com/thejemjam. Thank you so very much for listening. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, so this is like, how many sides are we looking at here if this was a wheel?
Lots.
15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24? So